Hi and welcome to this video for the BTEC Applied Science Level 3 Unit 1 where we'll be looking at percentage yield. So we should know the equation first off to start with, where percentage yield equals our actual over theoretical, and we'll use mass in this case, and then times it by 100 to convert to a percentage. Right, so I'm just going to go through a couple of questions with it, and then again it's easiest to follow. So sodium reacts with chlorine, forms sodium chloride, given the equation. Nice, it's already balanced. And it says, in the experiment, 9.2 grams of sodium was reacted with chlorine. And it says the actual yield of the experiment was 11.2 grams, and calculate the percentage yield. So it's given us the top number up there, the actual. So we need to work out the theoretical maximum mass of the sodium chloride that we should have achieved. So the way to do this, we've got 9.2 grams of sodium, and we can assume there's an excess of chlorine since it's not told us it's going to run out or anything like that. I'd start off with 9.2 divided by 23 for the relative atomic mass of sodium, because I want to see how many moles of this chemical I'm using. And that comes out at 0.4. Now, the next thing I do then is I use the ratio to find out how much of the product I would actually make. So see the previous video, just to make sure you're up to date with using the ratio from equations to link these together. So it's a 2-to-2 ratio, and essentially 1-to-1. So for every 1 mole of sodium I've got, I will make 1 mole of sodium chloride. So I'm just going to make a note of that, 2-to-2 ratio, i.e. 1-to-1. Therefore, 0.4 moles of NaCl formed, or at least expected to be formed, rather. Now, so if I know the number of moles formed, so I'll put that in there, theoretically. So if I know the number of moles I should form, then using the equation mass equals moles times mR, I can say 0.4 times and 23 plus 35.5, so 58.5 for the MR there, multiplied by my 0.4, 23.4 grams, is my theoretical maximum mass. So if the reaction went absolutely perfectly, nothing was lost, 100% in there, then that's what I should obtain. But you'll never get that. No reaction's perfect. So to work out my yield then, I'm going to be using the equation at the top, percentage yield. My actual mass that I got, see that there's 11.2, the actual, divided by my theoretical, which is here, what I've just worked out, and then times by 100 just to convert it to a percentage. So 11.2 divided by 23.4 times 100, 47.9%, just rounding that off. Now, beneath it. Now, this one's a lot tougher. So, unlikely you'd see questions like this in the exam, but if you can follow the logic on this, then you're in good stead. But the top one is definitely sort of a common exam question. So 3.56 grams of calcium chloride dissolved in water reacted with sulfuric acid, forms precipitate calcium sulfate there. And it says the percentage yield of the calcium sulfate was 83.4%. And calculate the mass of the calcium sulfate formed. So the way we'll tackle this, we're basically going to be having to rearrange this equation up there because we're told the percentage yield. We'll be able to work out the theoretical because we are given a starting mass, and we'll be able to use the ratios to find the theoretical mass of the other chemicals. And then a little bit of rearranging by taking the theoretical over, we should be able to solve the actual. Let's start this. So 3.56 grams of calcium chloride. First thing I'm going to do is find out how many moles that is. So 40.1 plus 35.5 times 2 gives me 111.1. Always remember your decimals with this. 3.56 divided by 111.1, 0.032. I'll just keep the full calculator. Moles of chloride. Now, what I want to work out the theoretical mass of the calcium sulfate across here that I should have made. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Theoretically, from there. And then to get the mass, well, if I know the moles, then I can just use the periodic table to look up the MR. Or 4 times, so the MR of calcium sulfate, 40.1 plus 32.1 plus 16 times 4, 136.2. I now multiply that. So 4.3638, so on, grams calcium sulfate, theoretical maximum there. Now it says, however, the percentage yield of calcium sulfate was 83.4%. Calculate the mass that did actually form. So this is basically the 100%. If it was 100% converted, I would have got that mass, but I only got 83.4% of it. And just to kind of show you how it's linking on up there. So I would have to multiply that over and then divide by 100 to get rid of that. So I can do up there then, the 83.4 multiplied by 4.3638, so on, divided by 100. You may be thinking, yeah, all I've done is I've just basically converted that percentage to a decimal on the multiplication. You are correct, that's fine. And then just multiplying it by this, because all I'm essentially looking for is what's 83.4% of this number. So now if I type that in on the calculator, 83.4 divided by 100 times 4.3638, since I've lost the rest of it, 3.64 grams, rounded off. Well, mass of calcium sulfate. So a little bit trickier having to rearrange that at top equation, whereas these style are the more common exam ones. Okay, thank you.